Planner fam, welcome back to Best Laid Plans, and I have our last opera-inspired monthly spread for this year. I cannot believe it is the end of 2021. It both lasted forever and flew by. So I have decided that the last opera I'm going to highlight is going to be Manon Lescaut. And Manon. So they're two operas. It's the same plot, different composers and librettist. And so I'm going to be talking about both operas, showing you guys the music, and telling you the story about the opera while I decorate. And then toward the end, I will finish up decorating and fill in my planner. If you don't want opera spoilers, of course, I will leave a where to skip ahead to in the video. But I did want to, before I did that, talk briefly about what I'm using. So I am going to be using some washi that I got that is Mucha themed. Imagine that in one of my videos. But it's kind of fall color, so it's good for November. And it is this sort of fancy man and woman. I'm gonna pull the washi so you can see. There's a lady too. So, and she's like on his shoulder. And I thought that fit really well with Manon and kind of where her journey takes her. I also have this man's hand holding a woman's glove, and I have some like French letters and writing paraphernalia. And then for our Manon character, I do have some like fashion doll stickers that are vintage. So I have this really well-to-do looking lady who has got a big hat and she's wearing her first stole. And then I have this young lady who is just wearing like a bonnet and is like just country and city, and that was what I was kind of going for. So Manon, when we first see her sort of just arriving in Paris, bright-eyed and naive, to kind of where she ends up in that easy life, fast track, fast cash lifestyle that she gets attracted to in Paris. So that is what I'm going to be using. And I'm also going to be using a couple sticker books. I pulled just a couple based on the color palette mostly. I am going to be using potentially some sophisticated florals here, and also some from the Dream Seeker. Again, Dream Seeker's, I think, perfect for Manon. It's mostly just to go with the kind of bronzy, darky tones of the other materials I picked, and to add some neutral functional boxes, that kind of thing. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get started with my washi, and then I will be talking about the opera while I decorate. So if you are wanting to skip that part and just go to where I'm filling stuff in, you'll go to this time here, but hopefully you'll prefer to just learn more about the operas. So here we go. There are actually two separate operas based on the 1731 novel L'Histoire du Chevalier de Grieux et de Manon Lescaut by the Abbé Prévost. Manon by Jules Massenet, a 5-act opera in French, and Manon Lescaut by Giacomo Puccini, which is 4 acts and in Italian. For the sake of brevity, I'm going to focus on Massenet's opera, for the most part because it's A, slightly more popular, and B, I like his version of the story just a tad better. While both composers tell the tragic tale of a naive young woman who slides into temptation, corruption, and ultimately death, I feel that Massenet's Manon portrays the titular character a little more sympathetically, more as a product of her society rather than simply a selfish, vain lover. Also, while the story takes place in the 18th century, for this spread, I'm actually borrowing influence from the Metz revival, most recently starring Lisette Oropesa as Manon in 2019, and which is set during the Belle Epoque, which is when the actual opera was written. I'm just going to go in now with my sticker book, starting with Dreamseeker, and add some of these flags and boxes to where I have items this month to check off. So that said, here's the story in a nutshell. We open at an inn in Amiens where Lescaut, a young guardsman, awaits the arrival of his younger sister Manon, who's being sent to live in a convent. Also arriving around the same time is a nobleman named de Bretigny and Guillot, the aging minister of finance, accompanied by 3 beautiful actresses. Yeah, he's that kind of finance minister. He runs into the young Manon first and tries to seduce her into his entourage, offering her a carriage, but her brother quickly puts an end to that. However, Manon continues to recall the beautiful women she saw, and we hear her futile attempts to dissuade herself from the temptation to become like them, surrounded by wealth and beauty. This is quickly interrupted by the arrival of Chevalier de Grieux, our tenor and Manon's impromptu young suitor. The two instantly form an attachment, and he and Manon decide to run off to Paris to live together. In the following act, we see the two lovers living ostensibly happily in Paris, while de Grieux attempts to get his father, the Comte, to agree to their marriage. This is not successful, however, and one afternoon Manon's brother, along with de Bretigny in disguise, come to warn her of de Grieux's father's plans to abduct him back from Paris. De Bretigny encourages Manon to abandon her quaint life with de Grieux and live under his protection instead, along with an opportunity to become one of those beautiful ladies she once saw. Once de Grieux is snatched away by his father, Manon finally concedes. When we next see her, Manon has transformed into the pinnacle of beauty and youth, and seems to have forgotten her past life and love completely. She encourages all those in her presence to revel in youth while they can, and appears to bask in the money and fame her new status awards her. Guillot still covets her and makes attempts to steal her attention, but when Manon overhears in the crowd that her ex-lover has become an abbé at Saint-Sulpice, she cannot help herself to head there to beg his forgiveness. I am pretty pleased with how this is shaping up. I knew it was going to be probably a little more minimal than some of my other spreads because so much of the decoration is just so detailed, like the washi with the Mujer figures. So I think that the 2 sticker books I chose to go with this really match the color palette well. And I also like that I can write things in a little bit later too, because this month is kind of one of my busiest of the year. So I'm going to go ahead and add my Manons here and here. I put those stickers down not just to accent, but also to keep the background, since these are clear stickers, from showing the lines. So I'm just going to kind of place everything where I'm thinking it will work best. I think that is where I'm going to place everything. So I will put those stickers down, and then we will start filling stuff in. Unfortunately, this encounter only rekindles their old flame, and de Grieux and Manon reaffirm their love right there in the church, ending his very brief career in the clergy. Manon takes him to a gambling house in Paris and convinces him to play so they can have money to start their new life together. It's very clear she is a frequent visitor to the gambling house, whereas Des Grieux is not as comfortable. She manages, however, to persuade him, and he actually manages to win constantly over Guillot, who is also present. But the finance minister accuses him of cheating, and then he calls loudly for the police to arrest both him and Manon in a final act of revenge against her for refusing his advances. Des Grieux manages to get bail, but once convicted, Manon is sentenced to be deported. Before she can be transferred at port, already sick and weak from her imprisonment, she dies in Des Grieux's arms, deliriously recalling their former happiness. So I actually ended up pulling a third sticker book, just sort of at the last minute, because I realized I was just missing like something to say Thanksgiving here, indicate that, as well as I wanted some copper letters for spelling out Manon. And the fall book does indeed have those. So I'm just going to add those before we move along to writing everything in. Puccini's opera Manon Lescaut is similar in plot, but skips over much of the two lovers' time together in Paris, and includes a whole act that takes place in New Orleans, where Manon is deported, before also dying in the end. Puccini's Manon is, in my opinion, a little more vain and frivolous than Massenet's, and you get the idea that she doesn't really care how much Des Grieux loves her, focusing instead on the loss of her youth and beauty. That said, Puccini's score can absolutely punch you in the gut. I first heard Manon's Act 4 aria Sola perduta abbandonata performed on a record by none other than Maria Callas, and I can assure you I wept ugly tears without even knowing the context. So if you get a chance to experience either of these operas, definitely take advantage. And that is the tragic tale of Manon Lescaut and the operatic masterpieces she inspired. Now let's get back to our planning. And we are finally finished with the spread. I really love how this is a washi intensive spread. Sometimes if you have really beautiful decorative washi, that can kind of become the story and focal point of what you're doing in your planner or your scrapbook. And I felt like this was the perfect opportunity to use this particular washi with telling the story of Manon. So let's go ahead now and finish filling everything out, and then we will head to the finished spread. And don't forget, you can always see my spreads that don't end up featured on this YouTube channel on my Instagram, which is @ValkyriePlans. And that is my finished November monthly spread for 2021. I think this is probably one of my more quote-unquote minimal spreads, but it has so much like meaningful decoration and choices in it. And it's also leaving me a lot of room to write things in, because I pretty much guarantee you I will be writing things in. I even wrote something in while I was filling it out that I didn't put like a bullet for. So since it's going to be a busy month, I will appreciate that extra space. And you know, I can always add more boxes and things if I need to. So I'm very pleased with this. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Please leave a like or comment and tell me if you learned anything new about opera from this, or if you want to know more about some of the supplies I used. I will leave that into the description box. These are from Amazon. I just found them there. And anything I use from Happy Planner, I always list as well, along with my affiliate code if you're feeling generous. I upload new videos every Wednesday here on the channel, and love to have you as a subscriber. So hit that subscribe button, hit the bell, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye!